Let's come back into order in the open session. And I believe item 6, I don't think we had anybody signed up. Item 7 is the presentation discussion. Report by the Director of Electric Utilities or his designee regarding customer service, business center practice, procedures, and policies, customer concerns and complaints, billing reporting procedures, and the open house staffing. Mr. Coker.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Just hit a couple of highlights in the written report and respond to any questions you might have. On page 16 of the written material, you see the call center average waiting time is coming down. Waiting time is coming down, which is very typical for this year, or for this time of year. Speed reading error rate has also improved this month. Good trend to see there. And I think Andy's going to talk more about the Cooper status and customer service in general in a second, so I won't spend more time on that. And then the last point I was going to make is on commercial construction. We had a few new additions. This is on page 20. We've got a couple of new offices, but I really wanted to highlight the two that were completed on page 18. Mainly one of them, Monsanto, is now complete. That one is complete. I don't think their usage is where it's going to be long term yet. We're kind of in the ramp up mode. It's going to take a while to start using all of the energy that we anticipated them to use, but it's good to see that project completed. I think there was a tour of that facility a while back that I wasn't able to go through, but everybody that I think Andy went to, it was very impressive facilities. That was really all I had one highlight.
Okay.
I think Andy was going to talk about Cooper and customer service.
Say questions to
Whatever you prefer. I mean, I'm going to.
David, on the Best Western Premier chosen Kansas.
Yes, ma'am. That's one that's been on the list for quite some time. I think, I don't know what the reasons were for that being canceled. There's been a lot of motels built. I just felt like it was too many motels that they built for them to support that. Sorry, hotels. I use the wrong term.
7th Street.
You ready? Okay.
Okay.
What I wanted to do in a presentation I have for you today is to put some focus on customer service and some of the activities and improvements that we've made, certainly over the last year. Kind of some of the topics I want to address today is really the structure of the department, changes that we've made since we reorganized the department in 2016, which consists of the implementation of a mission statement and some values that we put in place, some new things that we've implemented that we think improves our customer service and improves our communication with our customers. And then just an update on the billing and payment solutions that we have underway right now. So first of all, I want to start with the structure. You can see 6 major functions in the customer service department. Customer relations, which really has to do with our call center representatives. So there's about 38 employees in that area that takes calls. 27 of those are actually our call center reps. We have 6 advisors who oversee different teams within there. And then we have 4 cashiers who work in, or there are 4 cashier positions in the front of in the lobby that takes payments. There's a customer support area, which are somewhat behind the scenes that support our call center reps. There are 9 employees there, 4 of them in what we call account support, and 4 of them which are in our what we call our high-low account clerks that work in that area. These folks deal a lot with internet requests, with direct emails that come in, with large apartment complexes and the billing related to those, with high bill investigations when customers call in with bills that seem out of line. They're the ones that make those adjustments on the customer accounts, move-in, move-out processing, things like that. We also have our customer information systems group, which is made up of 6 employees. They're billing analysts or specialists, and they're working to keep the billing function moving seamlessly going forward. They're working on the banner billing system. They're the ones that have been working on the Cooper implementation over the last 6 or 9 months. a very busy group, a small group, but have lots of work to do there. The top 3 squares are overseen by Jamie Cook, who has been in her role since June of last year. So that's really when we began a real culture shift in that organization as we've moved forward. The bottom 3 squares are overseen by Michelle Cook, and they consist of, first of all, collections, which really consist of 4 employees, which oversee the bad debt collections. They work with customers going through bankruptcy. They work with tampering investigations, return items, calculating commercial deposits. Those are some examples of some activities they provide. In the middle, we have the meter reading department. It consists of a total of 21 employees. We have 18 meter readers. We have 2 leads who oversee two teams of those meter readers, and we have a meter reading supervisor. These meter readers read 500 to 700 meters on a daily basis, so they're very busy as well. And then finally, we have the field service and dispatch. Consists of about 19 employees. 15 of those are in field service. They're the ones that handle the service orders and connecting our customers, handling move-in, move-outs, turning on service, working with disconnects for non-payment. Also, they identify code violations. They do a multitude of tasks on a daily basis. And then our dispatchers are really coordinating and dispatching those service orders to our field service personnel. They handle after-hours calls. They also assist our servicemen and our CSRs with account information as needed. Just an example of some of the volumes of activity that goes on in this area. About 265,000 calls come into the call center on an annual basis. We transact about 42,000 drive-in transactions annually. 145,000 payments to the cashiers in our lobby downstairs on an annual basis. We mail out 1.7 million statements or letters annually. At the bottom you see we make 410,000 courtesy calls to our customers. If they have missed their payment due date, they get an automated, most of those are automated, but we do also make a number of personalized calls. There are 30,000 disconnections over the course of the year that our field service work. 15,000 payment arrangements that are set up on an annual basis, and about every other day we have a theft of service that's turned in that has to be investigated and police reports filed and that sort of thing. So that's just kind of give you a flavor of some of the volume of activity that goes on in that area. So I mentioned about a year ago we made a lot of changes in the customer service area. One thing was setting up a mission statement for those employees, which we communicated very openly to them. We're committed to providing residents and businesses of Lubbock with reliable service, affordable prices, and the best possible customer service. We also have values in place. I'm going to just read these because I think they're very important. We provide extraordinary customer service by handling each customer with care and concern. We build long-term relationships through helpful, courteous, and professional behavior. That's very, very important to us. This is a culture change from what we saw for over a year ago. For years before that wasn't quite the value that was instilled in the employees in that area. We respect each other's differences and decisions. We work on the teamwork with the group, because if you don't have employees that are happy working together and that get along well together, then that won't be exemplified in the calls that are made and the contact with customers that are made constantly. We contribute to a department and team environment of inclusion, openness, respect, and constructive problem solving. It's very important to us. We use good judgment to balance the needs of our customers with the needs of all the utilities. Should we err, we'll err on the side of the customer. We serve as a knowledgeable representative for all city departments that provide municipal services, and we actively support our community. So this involves a lot of training that didn't occur more than a year ago. So we've really implemented a lot of training to help our folks become specialists and key knowledge holders of all the utilities. There's an enormous amount of information that these CSRs have to retain and understand and be able to explain, and it's difficult. There's multitudes of rates for water, electric. There's many different aspects to their job that are very, very difficult, and so we feel like we owe it to them to provide them continuing education. And again, continuing our education and training to ensure we maintain the skills needed to meet our commitments and serve our customers is very, very important. Some of the things I want to talk about, the improvements that have been made over time. Again, this goes back to a culture change, an overall mindset change. Our goal is not to prove the customer wrong, but to find a solution to the issue or problem. Unfortunately, it seems that the mindset in previous years had been, really, how can we prove the customer wrong? We're right. We're always right. That's not what we want to do now. We want to find a solution. We want to try to help our customers. And if there's nothing we can do to help them, at least we can explain the situation to them, help them understand. We have also had a focus on our key performance indicators. And we share this. We share this with you in the reports that we send to you on a monthly basis. We spend the time necessary to ensure all needs are addressed. Historically, there was a push to get the customer on and off the phone. Keep that call time down, keep the wait time down. And it is a balance that we have to work on, but it's important that we're putting a lot of emphasis on making sure the customer understands and gets the answers they need. We've also implemented this is recently, and thanks to Matt and his folks, thorough response to social media interactions. That's one area that historically we haven't been very good at. And we want to make sure, since that's becoming more and more of an area where our customers interact with us, that we need to be responsive in those areas. So just to drill down into that a little bit more, our Facebook page obviously gives our customers that additional way to visit with us or to ask us questions or to complain. So we are making every effort to contact the customer that gets in contact with us through Facebook or some form of social media, and to provide them a personal response. It's interesting as we have some tacky comments on Facebook, but once we get with them, visit with them and resolve them, they're almost in all cases have been very happy with the response that they've gotten, and I think maybe a little surprised they actually did get a response. In the third quarter of the year, or actually June through September, we got about 66 messages that were responded to over that time, and you kind of see some of the topics that were addressed in those responses. Some other areas that we've improved communication. First of all, about a year ago, we created an email contact. Before, no one could ever contact us through email. So we created an email address, customerfirst@lpnl.com. Our account support team responds to these emails that come in, and so we're making sure that for those folks who want to communicate with us that way, that we can have an avenue for them to do that. Again, this goes back to the KPIs that I talked about earlier. We participated in a benchmarking survey about last year that has brought about a lot of the KPIs that we can follow and try to adhere to and try to improve on every month. Training again, first call resolution is important to us. One thing also we're trying to do is grow our staff from within. Promotions from within are very important as part of that teamwork, bringing our employees and making them happy to work together. We implemented what's called Rising Star Incentive Program. Camille Powell, who is Camille Poe, who is over our call center directly, she used to run an AT&T call center. She's excellent at team building and making our call center reps feel very valued, which then in turn creates more positive experiences on the phone. So I wanted to give you some information about the Rising Star Incentive Program. First of all, one of the deals with that is that we have now comment cards in the lobby. So if a customer comes in, it's a very short survey that they can respond to. We also mail out surveys. You can see for the third quarter, there's 4 questions: quality of service, professionalism and courtesy, timeliness of service provided, and overall experience. So this is the stack of comment cards that we received in that third quarter. And you can see that 99% of them were either very satisfied or satisfied with the service they got in the lobby. This is in the lobby. So you can see overwhelmingly about almost 380 very satisfied responses. and then trailed off dramatically after that. So we had majority of these, about 100. Oh, James, did you have a question?
Yeah, I do.
Yes.
Would it be worth, or is it, I guess, would it be worth looking at doing the same thing over phone calls?
We do this, and one,
Okay.
yeah, let me comment on that. We send out 200 for all the calls that come in over the month. 200 randomly selected customers that called in over the month are mailed a survey. Now, we don't get a very good response rate on that. So over the last, well, since we implemented this back in September of 16, we've mailed out 2,500 surveys. We've actually received 37 back. So it's a very low response rate. However, of those, 90% were either very satisfied or satisfied. 69% were very satisfied, 21% were satisfied, 3% were neutral, 3% were unsatisfied, and 4% were very unsatisfied. So I think in both instances, even though it wasn't a huge response rate, it's still overwhelmingly positive, which I know the council certainly doesn't feel that a lot of times because they get a lot of negative concerns that come through their office. And obviously we get calls of concerns all the time too, and we address those. But I think this helps to demonstrate that the customers who deal with us are having positive interactions. I wanted to share, we had about 183 of these, almost 380, that actually wrote a comment. And, things like, very professional customer service skills in a stressful situation. Marcia was great at helping me out on all my questions. Good job. She is the very best, compassionate, caring, on time. With all the negative in the world, her upbeat, friendly professionalism was welcome. LP&L, the collector of utilities, has come a long way in regards to customer service. I was worried about my service, but Diane took her time and truly helped me. Now I feel no worries. Thank you very much. So you can see throughout, we had some pretty good responses. And like I said, 183 people took the time to actually write something out. I think that demonstrates how pleasantly surprised they were at the interaction. They didn't come in expecting much. And that's why I encourage you, if you do get concerns, a lot of people don't even want to call us anymore because they've had years of experiences that have been negative. But I think if they call in, sure, everyone may not be happy because some people call in and they just want a credit, and if they don't get money back, they're not going to be happy. So some people are never going to be satisfied. But I do think the people who are calling in are getting a very positive experience, something that they probably weren't expecting. Out of the 183 comments, there was probably 3 that were negative, and the 3 of those were like, I don't like the high rates, I had to wait a long time, and I can't remember the other one. I think it was on rates too. So it wasn't, I think over the years there's been a reputation that people aren't treated very well by us, and so I'm hoping and to share with you that I think that has changed dramatically over the last year. Switching gears a little bit, also some improvements that we've made in the meter reading area, which is obviously the first line of our customer service, because if there's something wrong in the meter reading, it just kind of falls apart all the way down the line. But there's been a lot of things that Michelle's been very instrumental in changing in the meter reading area. We've split some of the larger routes for a period of time. We had some routes that were very, very large. It was very hard to get through them in a day. We had some that were shorter, and it just wasn't equalized. And so they've done a lot of work to equalize some of those routes. We've monitored on a daily basis those bills that are super high or super low. They kind of fall outside of those ranges to identify where training needs are necessary to help our meter readers do a better job at what they need to do. We've added another lead meter reader. We used to just have one. We now have 2, so they kind of oversee 2 teams of about 9 meter readers. So that's increased new hire training. That's increased coaching and mentoring that occurs in those meter reading teams. We audit our meter readers randomly to ensure that their techniques are correct and that they're accountable for their work. And another thing that we've begun doing, and this has been going on for several months or probably almost a year, is when a customer calls in with a complaint and we have a feeling that their meter has been misread, we take that meter reader to meet with that customer, usually an angry customer, so they understand kind of the ramifications of their mess ups. And so that kind of pushes them a little bit harder to do a good job, because that way they don't have to go meet with an angry customer. Again, we've made a switch. Historically, meter reading was really pushed to do things quickly. I don't think that's important. I think what's important is accurate. And so that has been reversed in their requirements. We have implemented 90-day performance plans for those employees who are not meeting our expectations. They get put on a 90-day plan, and if they can't perform up to our expectations, then they may have to look for another job. But it's something that we're working with them on. I mean, in most cases, they've come out of that 90-day performance plan back on track again. We've had one recently that just didn't want to do it, and so, they have to find another job. One thing that did help us in turnover, back in 2016, we had a spike in misreads on meters, and it was because we were very short-staffed. We lost 10 meter readers within a year, and so that increase from the 1031 to 12 an hour with the assistance of our city manager was helpful in helping us retain our employees. We're doing same-day investigations now, where we're doing a lot of very fast response times to help keep our customers happy, not feeling like they're having waited or being ignored. And then we've also implemented some tests, so when we bring in our meter readers, one thing that was missing for some time was, some people just can't read 6 dials that all go in different directions and are, 50 feet away with binoculars. They just don't have the ability to do that. So we've had training and testing in the interview process that helps us select individuals who have the ability to read meters, and so that's helped. We've also done a lot of in-the-field interviews, taking them out, showing them how hard the job is, how difficult it is, so they understand that coming in. Now to the complaint side, there are a lot of complaints that go into the city council office. August was probably the highest I've ever seen it since I've been at the utility. We had a total of 33 complaints that went through the city council office. You can see that, and that's in August. In September, we had 16. So you can see the vast majority go to the mayor's office. So he sees almost 50% of those. And you can see down the line the numbers of complaints that were focused to one or more of the council members. There's a few at the bottom that were just generally into the council office, but that kind of gives you an idea of how many complaints came in over those 2 months. And then,
Andy?
yes, sir.
Any idea of what percentage of those were valid complaints?
Yeah, and this slide actually here kind of tells you about that. 19 of those 46 over those 2 months had to do with complaints really of high costs, of the rates, or maybe high consumption. Those 19 didn't end up being any error on our part. It was just, they were large bills. So that was 19 of those. 6 of them were water leaks. So they called in because they had a very high bill, were upset. And then after investigation, the water department determined that those were leaks. 5 of those 46 ended up being meter reader errors. And obviously we corrected those accounts. We all know that the errors do occur, and so we corrected that. 3 customers called in to complain of the fee they were charged for tampering with their own meter. Didn't have an enormous amount of sympathy for those 3. 3 people called in to say, I'm going to file a formal complaint. LP&L's horrible. I'm going to file a complaint, or I'm going to start a petition. They didn't really have a specific concern that they brought about. 3 called about streetlight outages. 3 had billing issues that were issues that we had either an error that we needed to correct. 3 called about outages on their own home, concerns about that, and then we had 1 concern on tree trimming that went through the council office. So that kind of gives you a flavor of a lot of those are not totally within the control of the customer service representative. I mean, they're issues, but not always something that we can fix. But some of those definitely we could fix, and were errors that we needed to correct. So one of the things that we've done recently is we know that a lot of those calls do go into the council, and they take up a lot of time. I mean, even though there's 46 here, they probably took up hundreds of hours of staff time to research, to respond, to get with the customer, all of that activity. And so one thing that we have done to try to hopefully take off some of the calls that go into the council office is that there has historically really not been a way to contact David or myself or anyone on the management at LPNL. So on our About Us page on our website, where we've historically just had our names listed, we've now included pictures in our contact, and you can see there's a button under each one of our pictures that say either email David, email Andy, whatever.
Does that scare a lot of them all?
Yeah, yeah, it's scary.
Probably gonna need to request security now.
Well,
Our new EPA administrator has 30 full-time security guards now protecting.
Wow. Well, unfortunately, they can see us on TV all the time, so and we're not too obscure. So.
Andy, how soon after these pictures the skies?
I'm going to shave before next month, so y'all won't recognize me. But anyway, when you click on that email David, for example, it'll just come up david@lpnl.com, and so they can write us, and we'll be monitoring these emails as they flow in. So if you go today, the email address is not on there, but it should be up there this week. But the rest of the site is up there and available. So we're hoping that folks can be directed to maybe contact us rather than bothering y'all, because we normally are the ones that can correct it. We don't want to hide it from you, but we want to just keep that load off of you if we can.
We're just going to send it to you anyway.
Yeah, that's what it's about. So we're hopeful that will help, and if y'all come up with any other suggestions or ideas, we'll certainly be open to those suggestions.
Yeah, I think one of the things Andy mentioned earlier is certainly true. I think in times past they felt like they weren't getting responsiveness from LPNL, or they just didn't like calling us because they didn't have a good attitude in dealing with customers. So some of those customers are the ones that y'all hear from. But we're trying to turn that around where they understand that we are trying to be helpful. We are trying to solve problems instead of just telling everybody we're right. So hopefully, and it takes a while to turn those things around. I mean, you can't do it overnight. We're working in that direction. Tell a story that the city manager told me a while back that a call went into the city council about the little dog gloves or little dog bags in the parks had run out, and so they, rather than approaching city staff, they called city council members. So the same thing happens for the city offices for stuff that ought to be going to staff. I don't know why that is, but we're trying to divert them if we can.
Sometimes it's a personal connection. Someone calls, they may know me or know Jeff. So it's not always a bad thing.
I just want to say I applaud what you're doing. David, thank you all very much.
Thank you. We appreciate it. We are trying, believe it or not.
I second that, yes.
I may have missed your explanation when you went through it, and I noticed you had 3 complaints on tampering.
Yes,
What
sir.
happened? Did it not go down as much as they wanted to? Or how do you have a complaint
Well,
about tampering?
the issue with the tampering is if a customer does tamper with their meter and they're caught doing that, they'll get a $200 fine or fee on their account. And not to mention, we file a police report, and then ultimately they still have to pay what they were past due on. And so a lot of times, in those 3 instances, they were calling to complain about the fee that they'd been charged, or that in some instances they say, "I didn't do it." Well, somebody did it, and so it's very difficult. Maybe the account holder personally didn't do the tampering, but somebody in their immediate family or a friend or somebody did tamper with the meter, and so that's something that we take very seriously. And of course, they're upset. That most people probably don't know that. I mean, is it a felony or is it a felony offense or misdemeanor? Or
It's a state jail felony.
yeah, it's a serious offense, and I don't think people realize that. And not to mention, it can be dangerous, especially if it's your electric meter. Water meter's a little easier to fool with and not so dangerous, but it is a risk. And so some of those folks that do that may not realize what they've done, and so they're upset about it. So that's a lot of times what those 3 calls were kind of had the flavor of.
So when you turn off someone's water, there's a lock placed on it. Is that part of the tampering?
That's right. It's like a, what do you call it, zip tie kind of a thing?
They do zip tie. There are some times that they're not able to zip tie because the curb stop might be broken. But if we're able to lock it, we do it with a zip tie. It's a heavy duty.
It has a big old warning sign that's on it, and so that they have plenty of warning that altering or tampering with it is a problem.
So
All right. If there's no more questions on that, I just wanted to kind of give you an update on where we are on our billing and payment solutions. Again, as you know, we're in the middle of, we're near the end of the conversion to our new billing and payment solutions, which was a statement, payment, and print solution. It also involves a new website and involves the changes to our IVR. It's a very large change and a very important one that to get it done correctly. As you can see, we think it will improve customer satisfaction. I think we know it will. There's a lot of new things that will be very good for our customers. It also takes us from having a multitude of vendors who we have to work with to create our current bill and internet and all of that down to a much smaller number. It also brings us up to more of a current age in technology. One of these things that it involves is a revised statement. In the back of your agenda book, we've included a sample copy of what it will look like. There will still be a few changes before we roll these out. We're still making very minor modifications just to make it really good. But this is an example of what the first page will look at. I have a video in just a moment that will kind of go through the full aspects of the new statement. We also just this week got our kiosks in. This is a picture of the two of them that they're not in our lobby yet. They're in the kind of the back in our call center. They're undergoing testing right now to make sure that they're working seamlessly with our billing system. And so these are the units that our customers in the lobby we will help them go to. They can put cash in it, checks in it, credit cards, make their payments, and it's a very quick. They say you can make a transaction in less than 60 seconds. So it will be for those folks who are comfortable, and we're obviously going to have folks up front in the lobby that will work with our customers, show them how it works, walk them through it until they're used to it. We'll still have a cashier lane open to help those who just have an aversion to technology. But that is something we're very excited about that's included here. Part of the kiosk is on the bill. You'll see a QR code. In that, you can just, if you bring your statement in with you, you can just scan it. It'll pull up your account. You can make your transaction payment and be on your way. So that's one new neat thing that is involved with the kiosk, among others. Again, we'll have a mobile phone web app. It's not an app, but it's a mobile-friendly website, I guess, that when you pull it up, it fits within your mobile screen very well. Makes it easy to make payments. You'll have the ability to pay by text or to pay through this website. So there will be a lot of new additions on how you make payments.
Andy,
Yes, sir.
when is that rolling out?
So our goal at this point is by the middle to end of November. So it's coming very quickly.
So those of us that already do the email, are we automatic, or we're going to have to re-enroll?
Well, if you have signed on, to the LPNL account right now, that will not change. Your sign-in information will stay the same. That's still correct, right?
That's correct.
Yeah. So you won't have. Now, what will happen the first time you sign in is it'll ask you for a couple of security. Like what's your mother's maiden name, or what street did you live on as a kid, or questions like that. And so that'll come up. Now, going forward, every 6 months, is that?
6 months to a year, it hasn't been.
Okay, every 6 months to a year, we're still determining that you'll be forced to change your password, which I don't think historically has been in place. But that's just a security addition that we're making to keep it up. Well, that's just part of the security standards. I think that's important to make sure I think you'll find that in most online accounts that you deal with. I know it can be frustrating, but I think that keeps the safety up.
None of them require a password change unless I decide to do it. None of them. There are about 8 of them.
Okay.
Big companies.
Okay, all right.
Now, will I automatically quit getting the paper? Do I need to do something to make the paper?
Right now, we didn't want to upset a lot of folks, so we had two options. We could either have everybody automatically on paperless, and you could opt into paper, or everybody on getting a paper statement, and you could opt out of that. So we went that route. So right now, the very first month, everyone would get a new paper statement. But we're going to promote through our onserts and our billing information for people who want to go paperless. All you'll do is you'll sign on and you'll select that you want to get a PDF or a text or whatever you want. Yes, sir. Yes. And so it will it'll be a really nice, in fact, last night at Councilman Chavez's town hall, I had a customer come up and say, when y'all going paperless? And I said, well, in about 3 or 4 weeks, and very, very excited. She was thrilled to death. And so I think a lot of people will be happy to, because right now you kind of sign up for online, but you still get your paper, and so I think that frustrates a lot of folks. So
It may be too late, but I wish y'all rethink this forcing people to change.
okay, well, we'll talk about that. And some of it may be required by the vendor that we're going with. I will just have to check on that.
I'm talking
So-
about Chase, AT&T, huge companies,
Jerry, this is pretty common. And I don't think 6 months is bad at all.
Well,
There's
I
been-
disagree. I disagree wholeheartedly because I do everything online. There's not one account I deal with, even the bank, not your bank, that I have to, I'm forced to change.
I'd say likewise, I have a lot of accounts that I change frequently, and especially at the bank. I know it's probably a common practice here, but our bank has the same thing, same practice. And it's strictly for security purposes. I don't.
I know what it's for. I just don't think that we need to tell people how to take care of themselves. I think I can take care of my own security. I don't need to be forced to change
Until
my
there's a charge or some type of fraudulent, that's when it becomes public.
Okay, Mr. Oden.
On it, is it gonna have the thumbprint?
on the,
A lot of the new apps are going to where, even iTunes, I think, has it now, where once you put in your thumbprint on the phone, you don't have to worry about the password
I
and
know,
all that,
Jamie.
so
no, it does not have that
Doesn't
listed at
have
this
that,
point in time.
but will it have an update available someday, I guess, for that, or?
It's on the roadmap. It is.
Okay, it is?
Yeah, it is
Okay.
on the
It's just,
roadmap.
it's on the roadmap for that,
Okay.
for the vendor.
For
Yes.
upgraded.
Any other questions right
I
now?
have a question on the statement.
Uh-huh.
You listed the charges, electric, water, stormwater, wastewater, solid waste, it's great. Down below in the monthly overdue, you changed the order.
Okay, so it's a different order than the list above it?
It would be
Okay, all right,
except
okay,
for people to have the same
okay.
below. Pretty much taking it in line.
And the other water too, you've got the wrong amount of water.
I'm sorry?
Under water charges, you've got 128,000 gallons, and that's not what you do, so.
Okay, and remember, this is just a sample.
Yeah, yeah.
This isn't a real live bill.
I'm just saying.
That's what we're doing right now, is making sure all the bills are accurate and correct.
That's all.
Yeah, okay.
That's how those was perfect.
Well, thank you, Ms. Joy. We'll look into that. I agree. Any other comments or questions right now? And just real quickly to I just have a few more slides and then a couple of videos to show you. One thing also that we're doing in tandem with the Cougar rollout is we'll begin having a welcome packet. We've never had a welcome packet for our new customers. We get a lot of new students every year, for example, and they don't they don't know us, so it's our chance to make a really good impression on them. So we'll be sending out under the cover of Lubbock Utilities a welcome letter. With that will be a lot of information. It's information to sign up for auto pay, information if you want to add a co-applicant to your account, frequently asked questions of the utilities. There are some notifications that are in there. Well, I didn't realize it's on there. There's a list. Project Helping Hand pledge form. So a lot of things in there that hopefully can get us started off on the right foot with our new customers. We've also revised all of our correspondence with our customers. The correspondence is much friendlier. It looks better. I mean, a lot of the letters we've had have been they're almost impossible to change right now. We can't even change the wording without going through all sorts of programming. And so we've been able to revise, and you can kind of see a list of a lot of the correspondence that goes out right now that we've revised and made it look a lot more streamlined and uniform. And then I just have two short videos. These are videos that will be online once our system changes over to help our customers understand how to work with the online portal and then also the statement. So I'll play this first.
City of Lubbock Utilities puts account management tools at your fingertips in one easy-to-use use site on your computer, tablet, or mobile device. Start by visiting cityoflubbockutilities.com and click on Pay My Bill. If you previously registered your account with Lubbock Power and Light, you can use the same information to sign in. If you aren't already registered, you can sign up or make a one-time online payment. If you ever have questions about managing your online account, our contact information is easy to find. Once you sign in, you'll be taken to your dashboard where you can review your current statement due date and balance and pay your bill online. You can also view up to 24 months of use, billing, and payment history. Below that, you'll find options to review your account details. Once you're ready to view and pay your bill, simply set up the payment method you'd like to use and select it from the drop-down menu. You can add as many payment options as you like. From there, you can choose to pay immediately, pay on the due date, or select a date of your choice and then enter the payment amount. Once you've made your payment, you can check its status on your dashboard. You can also set up auto pay. You'll have the option to make a recurring payment on the day your bill arrives or up to 20 days before your bill's due date. You can also set up a maximum payment amount. If you previously registered for auto pay on your Lubbock Power and Light account, please double check your information on this page as new options have been added. Underneath auto pay on your dashboard, you can set up notifications and reminders, such as a text or email to make sure you don't miss a payment. You can also manage your e-billing options to receive an emailed bill rather than a printed one. If you have multiple accounts with City of Lubbock Utilities, simply select the account you wish to view from the drop-down menu. To add accounts to your dashboard, click on My Online Accounts and enter your information. There are more ways to manage your account by clicking the top left corner icon. The drop-down menu provides you easy access to change your credit or debit card information, stay updated with your latest account notifications, or find out more on how you can participate with Project Helping Hand. Managing your account has never been easier. For more information, visit cityoflubbockutilities.com or call us at 806-775-2509.
Mr. Conrad has a question.
Yes, sir.
And is there something on there that kind of would indicate or send a message once you're almost hitting, I guess, a certain level of electricity or water?
No, we won't have that until we have the advanced metering in place. But that's one reason we've gone with this project, is that that will be an option going forward. So if they say, I think it'll be a dollar amount or a kilowatt hour amount, probably, would that be right? If they hit a certain target, it would send you an alert, a text, or an email. So that's one reason we needed to move to this kind of a system now, so that once we have, AMI in place, we can add that functionality to the product. So, but right now there will be areas on here, at least reminders, if you haven't set up an auto pay, you could at least set up reminders that you can get an email or a text, to remind you to go online and pay your bill or something like that. So we think there'll be some tools in here that our customers, will really value, like that.
Really user friendly.
Yeah. Any other questions on the online portal?
That's great.
I haven't. Yes, ma'am.
I know Mayor Coach would want to know, what can we safely say to people about this going into effect, that people should have?
Well, currently our go live date is November the 5th or 16th. Is what our goal is. But as you know, with the system conversion, especially of this magnitude, we're not going to roll it out until we're completely confident that all the data is accurate. Because keep in mind, our billing system is feeding this information not only to our IVR, but to the statement processor, to the online system, and so there's a lot of, and another example is we're changing payment providers. So right now, if you've set up your credit card to auto draft, that information is being transitioned to a new provider. And so we have to make sure that the credit card information is still being drafted as it was originally set up. Same thing with bank drafts. We have to make sure it's a huge volume of information, and we have teams that are working 7 days a week right now, trying to ensure all that's going smoothly. So even though our goal date is November 16th, if there's anything that occurs, like for example right now, we are having I'll say issues with the credit card vendors on transferring that data over to us. We haven't gotten their guarantee that the timing that they're going to get it all moved over to us. We think they can get it all done in a timely manner and in a way to meet our deadline. But And the thing is, if it does slip a few days, then you get into the Thanksgiving. So if we slip any from the November 16th, I could see it easily going to the end of November before we could roll it out. I know that I struggle to give out a date because today things are in line. We feel very comfortable that we can hit that target date, but there are always unknowns that can pop up that could give us some concern. And I think the biggest problem, our customers don't know a date. I mean, obviously, if they watch this video today, they'll know what date we anticipate having it out there. But we've been relatively vague in our communications to our customers. We keep saying, this fall, look for a new statement and new payment solutions. So I think the biggest problem for us would be if we rolled out something that wasn't accurate. And so we are going to do everything in our power to make it on November 16th. But if we have any concerns, we may have to pull it out for a week or two. It just may be one of those things. This is a large system conversion and one we might want to make sure is done correctly. So I know that's difficult. I know the mayor was pretty worked up about that issue. But this is not real uncommon with a system conversion when you're dealing with this much critical payment information and things that impact every citizen in Lubbock. But right now we're on track for November 16th. And we'll keep y'all up to date. If we feel like there is any shifting in that date, we'll certainly be on the horn and let y'all know about it.
Well, it just sounds like right now we couldn't go to the public and say November 16th.
And what we're going to do is when we get within a week, because I think when we're within a week, we'll be very, very confident that we can do this. That's when we'll start the rollout of the customer communications through social media, through the Avalanche Journal, or through radio spots or whatever. We'll start a week out. So we didn't. And if you start much further than that, people will get confused because they'll be looking for a new website that isn't available yet, or they'll be looking for things that aren't there. So we felt, and Han, our advertising folks, felt like that week out in advance would be a suitable timeline to get the information out and everything. And plus, when the customer signs into the online, that are people who do that, they can immediately go to those videos and understand better how it works and what they need to do.
So Andy, is that full implementation by November 16th?
The only thing that won't be fully implemented on that date would be the lobby kiosk, which will be a few days later. And then the drive-through kiosks are going to be probably about a month later. And that's mainly just because of the delay in shipping for those outdoor kiosks from the vendors. So there'll be one outdoor kiosk right now that will take up one of the lanes as our customers kind of begin to get used to that.
Is the online functionality, is that, could you send out a new state format without having all the other stuff function? What is that?
Well, for example, right now, the letters that we send out are ready to go. But all those letters say, visit, cityoflubbockutilities.com, a website that doesn't yet exist. So we made the decision to roll everything out at the same time. Even though we have some aspects of it ready right now, we felt like it would create confusion if we started rolling out bits and pieces before it's all ready to go.
Well, I just wrote in on what he said, November 16th, provided that there's not an issue, and let us know 1 week before that.
We have gone through all of the critical issues. There are what we call showstopper issues. Well, there are still a few showstopper issues that we're working through, but all of the issues that we needed to resolve with the vendor that would allow us to begin our user acceptance testing have been cleared. That we've cleared through all of those. So our folks have been doing the user acceptance testing now for almost a week, and so that'll continue. They're printing off random samples of bills, verifying that in the different rate classes to make sure everything's flowing correctly, that we're making sure the web activity is working correctly, all that. So all that stuff is going on right now, and that seems to be going very well. Probably the biggest concern right now is that payment, that credit card information, which is really kind of out of our control, moving from the current vendor to the new vendor. As long as we can get them to get their information rolled over in a time where we can do the testing, then we should hit the go live. If that does not happen, that would be one of the big areas that would cause a delay in the go live. And David and I got on the phone we weren't with the president of the company, but the vice president of the company, senior vice president, and he understands the severity of the issue and how important it is. And the good thing is the vendor that the credit card information is moving from and to, their sister companies. They're both owned by the Hearst Corporation, Kubra and CDS Global. So they both are sister companies within the same umbrella of an organization. And so we feel because of that, they'll be able to get the timing done. But there's two legally separate entities, and so, even though they're sister companies, you're still dealing with two separate legal entities. So as long as we can get that taken care of, then I think we'll be looking pretty good. So
You'll let us know when we have
we will be in communication to let y'all know the slightest chance of where we think there may be a delay. And we've, obviously David and I meet with Jamie and the folks that are consultants on a weekly basis, and Mark Yearwood has been involved in those meetings to help to make sure the communication flow is there and that we're all staying abreast of a lot of the activities that's going on. The last slide I have is the video for the statement. We're also going to have a video for the kiosk. It's still under development right now, but it'll be ready by the time we go live. So let me do this statement explainer video.
The City of Lubbock Utilities monthly statement conveniently houses all your utility information in one place. You'll find all the contact information you need to reach your customer service team, as well as ways to report outages or service issues 24 hours a day, 7 days a week. You'll also find a list of ways to make a payment on your monthly statement, and important messages about your account. Know what you owe, with a summary of charges for your previous and current billing cycles. Below that, you can find a breakdown of the new charges by utility service and a monthly overview by utility service. The following pages of your statement provide an in-depth look at your use of charges. If you're a Lubbock Power and Light customer, you can view details about your electric service. You can track your use and compare it to previous months with easy-to-read charts. You'll also find similar breakdowns for City of Lubbock water, stormwater, wastewater, and solid waste services. Below that, you'll find news and updates about your utility service. For more information about your statement and to explore all the new customer account features, including improved billing, expanded payment options, and more, visit cityoflubbockutilities.com.
All right, so that's my presentation, and if anybody has more questions, I'll be happy to answer them. Let me first say that we couldn't have done all this without the good work of Jamie, Michelle Cook, not related. That was weird, Jamie Cook and Michelle Cook. And then Matt Rose, obviously, has been very instrumental in getting a lot of the marketing and information ready for our website. So they've done an outstanding job.
It was great videos.
Fantastic job. Fantastic job. You guys are doing great on that.
I have a question on the customer service Monday through Friday. Are there hours that you can call customer service? Or
8 to 5 on Monday through Friday is the customer service.
Tell them that?
Yeah, and I thought it was on there. That's a good point.
'Cause I don't know what happens if you call that number after hours.
Well, you can still you still can go through the IVR at all hours, so you can still make payments on the IVR, or even the online presence. You just can't talk to a live person after 5 o'clock, and so.
Just a thought.
Yeah, no, it's another good point. So we'll.
And all our customer service, customer calls, are they all recorded?
Yes, sir.
Do we occasionally sample and listen to them? That's something we do.
We do, and they're tied. Well, they're tied to the account. So any customer that calls, and they say, "Oh, I called," they call up a council member, and I called LPNL, and they told me this. Well, we can go listen to it and understand what really happened, and we use that as a training tool. So if, we do have bad calls. We do have our call center reps that may not respond like we'd like them to, but we use that in our training to help show them examples of how to do it the right way. And so, but yeah, Jamie has people on staff that that monitor that and use that in training. That's one thing we've done. We now have 2 trainers in the call center, and they use that kind of information. And instead of in the past, when we just trained a new call center rep when they started, and they never got any more training the rest of their career, we're now having ongoing training all the time. And just like, for example, this summer, before consumption spikes as it does every summer, they had a training specific to how to deal with high consumption, how to, so they use very timely information in their training, not to mention just refresher on all aspects of that job. So the calls are very important, and we really like having those recorded so we can, anytime we get a complaint, I'll say, well, send me up a call, related to this customer, and I'll get it. Maybe I'll get 2 or 3, recordings, but at least you can see what's going on over the, recent weeks. Whatever.
Other questions?
Anyway, thank you all.
So we're ready for item 8.
Yes.
Presentation, discussion of financial and capital statements, financing options, audits, and financial policies of local fire and life, related to debt issuance issues, reserve account funding, cost allocation, revenue and expense projections, purchase power, cost recovery factor, customer metering, billing and service issues. See Mr. Sayles.
All right. I'll try to go through this quickly. I know we've had a long day. As always, I'd like to show you where we've been with our rates for the average rate 1 customer using 1,000 kWh. The last data that we have for the PUC is through July. It hasn't been updated for August yet. So our rate is stable, so it's still at 119. SPS was at 123, and the survey average of customers throughout the state was 112.
I'm sorry, where are we at with, did you start off with how are we with spec?
We're at 119, and they were 123.
South Plains.
South Plains.
Right.
Southwestern Public
Not
Service.
spec.
Excel.
Excellent.
Oh, XL, I'm sorry. We don't have spec up there.
Right.
I thought you said spec.
And I may have, if I did, I'm sorry for the confusion. And then our survey of customers across the state that includes a lot of customers in ERCOT shows that they're at $112. Each month, according to the tariff, we're required to report the over-under collection to you. We over-collected in August about $900,000, and then in September we under-collected $10,000. So we right on the dot in terms of September. Income statement overall, bottom right, we're up 4.8 million compared to this time last year. Purchase power continues to drive things. Our base rate increase is about 3.8 million of that 4.8 million at the bottom. And then our depreciation that we've talked about throughout the year, where we changed some useful lives according to the FERC study and industry standards. On the balance sheet, not a whole lot that's different than what we've been showing you, with the exception of restricted investment. If you'll recall, we issued debt in August, and so the cash is on the balance sheet along with the debt. Receivables are up compared to year end, but that's driven by higher purchase power cost. And that's not out of line with where we've seen receivables before. They were at this level in 13-14 as well, so it doesn't give me cause for concern. On the liability side, you see the bonds payable, and the long-term and short-term is up. And then you see the net position ties out to the income statement that I showed you a moment ago. In terms of budget, August through, compared to budget, we're at about 90% of revenues and 88% of expense, and then we always compare that to where did we end the last fiscal year in terms of actuals, and you can see that we're right in line with where we'd expect. The same story that we've seen all year. Purchase power is higher than it has been. Off-system sales is a little bit under, but we know that we've already seen the September numbers, and that will actually end up higher. And all other revenues, that's the one that kind of sticks out at 105% of budget, and that's largely due to interest income. When we set the budget, the Fed hadn't increased the Fed funds rate when we set the budget a year and a half ago, and we budget that very conservatively, and so that's the big driver in that line item. In terms of the budget forecast, still planning on, still looking like things are going to come in right at budget or a little bit under. And the capital program, we have 56 open projects with an appropriation total of just under 57 million. Funds remaining in bonds, about 25 million, and just under 7 million in cash for a total of 32. And you can see where we spent the majority of our money in August, and we spent almost $2 million, which is an uptick what we've seen throughout the year. Most of the year we've spent engineering lots of the big projects related to the two loops, and the CIS project is also getting well underway, and so I think that we'll begin to see CapEx outpace depreciation pretty quickly. So blew through that pretty quick. Happy to answer any questions.
Chad, on the balance sheet, then I'm going to refer to the materials, paper materials. So page 21, we look at the balance sheet. So deferred expenses on the purchase power recovery factor, 4.6 million at the end of August.
Yes, sir.
I didn't hear what you said. Where are we going to be at the end of September, do you think?
That's a good question.
8, something like that? Or?
Well, we under collected $10,000 for the month of September, but if you'll recall, there's a 2-month lag on the fuel cost adjustment true-up that we experienced with XL, and so in November, we will receive the fuel cost adjustment true-up for August and then September. Yeah, so we have to accrue those back, and so that just depends on what the market did and what their fuel costs were. So we think we have a handle on it, but until we get it, we just don't know.
We think, best guess now, we're in the ballpark?
I think so.
Okay. Well, at least what I'm fishing for is we were at 6.6 million under collected the previous year, so make a little bit of progress.
I think that we will be under that number.
The other questions I had, when you go to you pointed out the bonds and the investments. When you go to the statement of cash flows, page 24, you got about 14.5 million purchase of capital assets. So that's a real number as far as cash that we've got into CIP or in service.
That's right.
For 11 months, right?
Yes.
Okay. So when we look at that and we look at the capital projects page
34.
I was asking about this earlier, 34. We got a total of 57 million in the capital program. That's uncompleted approved projects. And we've got about 15.8, 15.9 expenditures today. So the difference between that 15.9 and the 14.5 is basically something that was spent in previous fiscal years.
That's right. Where the O&M budget is appropriated on an annual fiscal year basis, those dollars go away at the end of the fiscal year if you didn't spend it. The capital program is inception to date, and so you could have projects that are open for a couple of years, just like the CIS project, for example. I think that was opened in, I don't remember if that's 15-16 or 16-17, but we know that that'll be open for at least another year. And so that's a good example of something that could be appropriated in a fiscal year previously that's still on this report. And so that report won't ever tie to the financials in terms of the statement of cash flows, because the statement of cash flows is capturing year-to-date within a fiscal year.
And that 17 million that's on the balance sheet in CIP, that'll roll out, part of that'll roll out when we do the audit, and before the audit's done, whatever's completed projects on that.
That's right.
So,
Yeah, we're actually working on that right now. Jeremy Dixon's not here right now, but he's a financial analyst on my team that he created a database that we track our CIP projects in. Historically, we had just gone at the end of the year and asked the project manager, can you tell us what the assets are for this particular project? And to ask somebody a year later, or maybe if it's one of these projects that spanned a few years, what they spent their money on a year and a half or 2 years ago is really tough. And they might know what the total or what the major assets are, but in terms of allocating dollars, it's next to impossible. So what we did, Jeremy created a database that they assign their assets when the project gets started, and they assign their transactions monthly, ideally, which they get behind, but we're trying to stay on them. But they set up their assets, and then as transactions come in, they assign their non-payroll transactions to the assets, and then at the end of it, we assign their payroll transactions on a pro rata basis based on the value of the other assets, so that at the end of the project, we have a very detailed list of what the assets are, and we know how we got to the value of them, and we send that to the project manager. They sign off on it, and we send it over to Brad Bullock, who's the fixed asset accountant over at the city. And so we have a much better system in terms of tracking our fixed assets. So that's a very long answer to say.
I'm just curious, how do you keep track of the salary side of it as opposed to CIP versus operating expenses?
Sure. We actually, Blair's group, what's it called? T-Sheets? They have an online tool called T-Sheets, and we've set up all of the capital projects within that and all of the O&M payroll codes. And so each individual, if they work on CIP, they go in.
They got a code.
Right. So they just know their code and they go select it. And I worked 8 hours on this, and I worked the other time on O&M. And it's not perfect, but it's better than where I work.
So at the end of coming down to the end of the fiscal year, we still have some potential capitalized labor to go back over in CapEx, or?
I think that we've moved a lot of those already.
But all the labor will already have been, would have been charged to the capital. He was just talking about at the end when that capital project is ready to close, instead of we allocate the amount of payroll that's been in that capital project among each of the assets based on, an allocated share of what's incorporated in the capital project. So it's all accounted for in the capital program. It's just we don't allocate that payroll out until the project closes.
Well, I know in the past we've had adjustments that were made. So what you're telling me is you basically
We've already done
done
those. Yeah, and in the past where it was a lot bigger, this year it was, I don't know, a couple $100,000 compared to maybe $1 million in the past.
So what y'all feeling as far as the change in that position, bottom line figure? Usually September is a cooler, well, it depends on what the temperature was in September. We're going to be about the same.
Yeah, September it was quite a bit cooler than a normal September, and we didn't collect the revenues that we would have expected. We're still working through we're actually putting the September financials together today, so I haven't seen the statements yet, but I don't expect it to be as good as a normal September based on that high correlation temperatures.
Most of your sales, your bills for September for August usage, and we have very mild August.
That's true too. Yeah.
You're good.
In the cycle.
Right.
Okay. Then Chan, on the budget comparison deal, page 25, I just want to make sure everybody still knows you mentioned the off-system sales as a percentage, but then the legal figure consider 7113. We talked about that last month.
Sure.
Basically, we had some of our consulting budgeted there for the transmission projects, but it's actually incurred down in 7611.
That's right.
And so that's basically the new there. And then the figure for the transfers, we got that broken out at the bottom, 25, with the franchise fee and pilot and the cost allocation. And then the total charge basically is at that 14.6 million transfer over there.
Right.
That's all the comments, questions that I had. Anybody else have questions on the financials?
All right.
Thank you, Chad.
Thank y'all.
Appreciate it. So, item 9, consider a resolution recommending the city council one appointment to the West Texas Municipal Power Agency in accordance with section 2.03.415E of the Code Ordinances, City of Lubbock, Texas.
Chairman,
Mr. Peck.
motion to reappoint Mr. Boatman for recommendation to city council.
Okay, motion to recommend Mr. Boatman, is there a second? Second by Mr. Conrad. Any discussion? Okay, all those in favor of the recommendation, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. And then item 10 is consider a resolution recommending to the city council 6 appointments to the electric utility board in accordance with section 2.03.415E of the Code Ordinances, City of Lubbock, Texas. Entertain a motion.
If it's the chair of the board's pleasure, from discussions in executive session, it appears as if the board would like to continue this item until the next regularly scheduled meeting.
There was another discussion too about going ahead and taking care of the reappointments. We're just gonna hold on that one.
Well,
So we narrowed down to 2.2.
as a question,
Certainly may do so.
if it was the will of the board to go ahead and put forward the 4 of us who will stand for reappointment as a recommendation today, is that something we can do?
Yes, I think the motion would be phrased something of, move to recommend to the city council the reappointment of Mr. Taylor, Mr. Bell.
And that wouldn't prejudice anything.
It would not, Mr. Conrad and Mr. Bell. That would not prejudice, and then continue the other 2 recommendations until the next regular scheduled meeting.
That'd be one motion.
Yes.
Do I hear a motion?
A motion to recommend reappointment of Mr. Bell, Mr. Brogan, Mr. Taylor, and myself, and continue in search of 2 new reappointments
Until the next
to the next meeting.
Not reappointments.
Or appointments.
Is there a second? Mr. Odom seconds. Discussion. Okay. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. That'll get us partway there. And then item 11 is discuss and take minute action setting a date, time, and place in November and December 2017 meetings of the electric utility board. Our discussion was November 14th at 9 a.m. and December 19th at we'll return to the time. December 19th, say 11. We need a motion. Okay. Motion second for November 14th, 9 a.m. favor, say aye. Aye. And then consent agenda, item number 12 is consider resolution authorizing the purchasing manager to execute purchase order RFP 714417 ELD to Mixter for LPL substation structures and equipment for Southeast Substation. Item 13, consider resolution authorizing the Director of Electric Utilities to execute the First Amendment professional services agreement amendment by and between the City of Lubbock, acting by and through Lubbock Turning Light, Black and Beach Corporation, any uncertain professional services agreement dated on or about June 21st, 2016, by and between LPL and B&B. Said amendment adjusting engineering services to be provided regarding the Chalker substation design and construction. Does anybody want either one of those before we go further discussion?
I'm going to approve the consent.
Okay, Don beat you to it. Second by Mr. Bell. All those in favor, please say aye. Aye. Any opposed? Okay. All right. Thank you all very much. I guess one other thing, just wanted to express our condolences and sympathy for Olivia. Appreciate you. That's tough. Appreciate all of y'all. As you can probably tell, I got down almost to 19th Street and I called my wife and said, I'm going to get the 11-year-old, the 6th grader, and she goes, oh, well, I told him to go to the library. I'll go drop one off and turn around and go
You thought that was fast.
I was like, thank you for telling me. So, anyway, we are adjourned.